Hello and thanks for joining us on your channel of choice. It's Africa Independent Television AIT. Welcome to the Signature Show. As always, my name is Nwabuoze Njoko, and in this edition of the program this Sunday, missing arms from the Nigeria Police as House of Representatives begins investigation. More issues to be examined. And 350 billion naira investment into Imo State's Adapam. Something good is coming out of Nazareth. Plus, a day of expectations for many Nigerians, many of us, as Nigeria plays Tunisia in a few hours' time in the AFCON Championships. It is a loaded package, if you ask me. All you need to do is just stay with us, and you enjoy every second of today's edition. When the issues matter and the need to know matters.
The chief of staff of Nigeria couldn't go to his village because it was being occupied by Boko Haram.
Politicians and political parties have massively used money to buy votes and to change the course of electoral direction.
You will also remember the very APC itself set up a Rufai committee recommending structuring doesn't mean anything. Go back to federalism.
Or the fun and the fair to relieve everyday care.
Life is a riddle, my son. The land bled when Uvoranwen was put in shackles. Heaven wept when Saruwiwa was laid to rest.
Everything comes with the Judge Tufoni. Everything comes with who I am.
The Signature Show, your show that matters, on AIT every Sunday at 2 p.m. The Nigeria Police cannot account for 178,459 arms and ammunition in its armory. Now, of this number, 88,078 are AK-47 rifles, and these figures are as 2018, and we do not know what may have happened between 2018 and 2022. We're not manufacturing these figures. They are contained in a report from the Office of the Auditor General of the Federation. Now, the House of Representatives has stepped into this matter and has begun investigation on the issues. Now listen to this. As the House of Representatives probes these losses, please, there's a need to put the police high command under thorough scrutiny. In the first place, what is the process of acquiring arms for the police? An answer to that question is important, because the police authorities as at now do not have the cost of those arms because they do not have the documents on their procurement. Secondly, who is to be held responsible? What is the process of issuing arms to the police officers, and therefore who is held to account when such arms get missing? More critically, under what circumstances are police rounds of ammunition to be used, and how are they accounted for? Now, I raise this question because policemen fire rounds of ammunition at festivals, political rallies, weddings, burials, and you begin to wonder if anybody really accounts for the ammunition. Deputy Minority Leader Toby Okechukwu, who raised this very matter on the floor of the House of Representatives, says he has some fears, and those fears are that some of these arms and ammunition that are not accounted for may in fact have ended up in the hands of criminals, making life thoroughly unbearable for all of us. But even before the matter got to the House of Representatives, what did the police high command do when the Office of the Auditor General released its report? It's the same thing happening among civil servants. Keep quiet, wait it out until the public forgets or loses interest. The same thing happening with the soldiers who killed policemen who had arrested a notorious kidnap kingpin Waduma in Taraba. The soldiers released Waduma, and the military is waiting for Nigerians to forget, and the case becomes cold, if not dead. We will not forget it. It is a promise. We keep repeating it so that the right thing is done. You are watching the Signature Show on AIT. We take a short break now and return shortly. Please stay with us. Now, the derogatory comment about Imo State trending all over Nigeria today is, you think this is Imo State. That is to say that nothing good can come out of Nazareth, especially with the puzzling judicial arithmetic that brought Hope Uzodinma to power. My dear, it is not true that nothing good can come out of Imo State. I got a story though a little late, but let me this Sunday congratulate Governor Hope Uzodinma for showing that he wants to protect the interests of Imo State. His resolution of the crisis in private investment in Adapalm and getting a whopping 350 billion naira private capital into that palm project will create a measure of economic stability not known in many years in Imo State. His push to protect the interests of local communities and bringing them on board as he resolves all issues is what governance should be. And again, reducing government equity in the business will reduce political interference. As he said, all stakeholders should work together to make the revival of Adapalm a story with a happy and profitable ending. Congratulations, Mr. Governor. Thumbs up. You are watching the Signature Show on AIT. Next is our interview. What today is a repeat of last week's interview with Ferdinand Dago on who should be Nigeria's next president. We bring it back on popular demand. Please stay with us. Hello and welcome to the conversation segment of the Signature Show this Sunday. As I always say, the conversation never ends. Look around you. Politics is in the air. People are announcing their interests. Groups are canvassing for support. But it appears that the biggest cake everybody wants to have a slice of is Nigeria's presidency. Individuals are showing interests. Groups are canvassing for support. Political parties are arranging their issues and trying to find their right candidates. But Nigeria is faced with many challenges about which the citizens are complaining so bitterly. So, who should be Nigeria's president come 2023? What quality of a person should that person be? How can he drive this country back to the conversation of unity and peace instead of this divisiveness? What does he do with insecurity? Does he have the capacity? What should he bring to the table for Nigerians to say, look, we have a hope that this is the president suitable for these times? That is the issue we're conversing on this afternoon. And my guest is Ferdinand Dago. Ferdinand Dago is a former Director General of the National Maritime Authority, today NIMASA. He was also the Senior Special Assistant in the Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation under President Goodluck Jonathan, and is now a consultant in private practice. Incidentally and interestingly, Ferdinand Dago is an architect. Ferdinand, you're welcome to the conversation.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, my brother.
You, from beams and structures and buildings of a building, you became interested in public affairs.
Well, the architect, by the very nature of his training, can apply that training to a host of areas of life. Of course, the principal area is in building. The word architect is architecton, master builder. That is his first area of concern. But the same principles can be applied in virtually any other aspect of life. You have doctors also that apply themselves in public service, lawyers, all kinds of professions. If you understand the fundamental rudiments of your training, you should be able to apply it to your first area of calling and beyond.
Now, Ferdinand, you heard my opening remark. In respect of Nigeria's many challenges, permit me to just mention a few. In 2014, security, or indeed insecurity, was a major issue in that campaign. Today, it remains an issue. Then, people were mouthing unemployment. Today, it is a major issue. Then, people are speaking about a disunited Nigeria. Today, it is a divided Nigeria, kind of, with all manner of interests being thrown up. Looking at these challenges confronting Nigeria, what manner of man or woman, indeed, do you think should be aspiring to Nigeria's presidency in 2023?
Let me put it this way. I think over the last couple of years, we have become so overwhelmed with our problems that the basic tone of our public conversation has become a bit pessimistic. Now, that's not the way to go. I want us, throughout the discussion, to take a more positive view of our country and a more optimistic note. Now, all these things you outlined can be summed up in one word: state fragility. You are basically dealing with symptoms of acute state fragility. I'm not talking about a failed state, but we are a failing state. It's not something nice to say, but that's a fact. So the insecurity, the unemployment, the disunity are all symptoms of failing state. And at the heart of it is not a breakdown, but the gradual erosion of our national consensus. So that answers your question. The fundamental thing you are going to need in a leader is who, by temperament, by competence, by disposition, is in a position to rebuild our national consensus. He doesn't need to be a genius. Einstein was offered presidency of Israel. He said, no, is this not meant for me? The youngster didn't need a Nobel laureate in physics. What Nigeria needs today is who has the ability or the chance to build a consensus around issues. Because positions are so polarized right now that anybody's solution will be rejected by the next person. On virtually any issue you put on the table today, there are 2 or 3 views that Nigerians hold passionately, whether it is unity, whether it is politics, whatever the case. But we need some fundamental pillars to agree on. First of all, that despite how difficult and challenging it may seem, it is ultimately in everybody's interest that we have a peaceful and prosperous Nigeria. We have to agree on that. Now, and how do we get there? Of course, a peaceful and prosperous Nigeria must provide for its people. Peace is both a means and an end. You must provide for your people a good economy, good quality of life, good life expectations. We need that. Now, the details of that can be hashed out, but the consensus of that must be there. Now, critical to that is leadership and the vehicle to deliver leadership intentions. Now, and in that leadership, you need somebody that can actually be able to bring people together and say, come together, let's reason and find a way forward. He would have his own ideas. We don't have to accept his ideas. And he mustn't insist solely on his own. But regardless of that, he must have the ability to bring others together and hammer out a consensus. So you can dice it up anyhow. You're not going to solve Nigeria's problem without generating a consensus around the solution. So in direct answer to your question, it's of what kind of leader do we need? I will go for a leader with a proven ability to bring men across the board together and get them to work towards a fixed goal.
Now, Ferdinand, I have a challenge with that answer, even though I may agree with you substantially. Over time, Nigerians, especially in the media, have barely ached about leadership competence, technocratic competence. Not just a man who can assemble people. He must also have his own ideas and his own competencies to bring to the table. Am I right?
No, excuse me. A consensus builder is more than just a guy that can bring people together. You must have a temperamental disposition towards accommodation. You need a fair dose of vision, because a consensus builder is also a direction pointer. You're not just sitting there saying, oh, come and talk, let me look for the least common denominator. You're also pointing towards a direction. Okay? That's where your own ideas matter. You must be somebody of judgment. You have to know what way to apportion. There are so many variables in any particular question. And none of them can be dismissed outright. But you need a measure, you need a sense to know what way to apportion towards. You must be somebody of integrity. People must know they can take your word to the bank. That if you say, we are going this way, eventually you will go that way. And you must be somebody of dedication. You really roll up your sleeves and get down to it. So this idea that, oh, give a man a job, he will meet people there that he will bring together. No, that's not my idea of consensus building. There are key elements: the temperament, the vision, the judgment, the dedication. All these things are part of what makes you an effective consensus builder.
Now, Ferdinand, over time, there has been this debate in the country that people of a certain generation, people of a certain age, are no longer qualified to lead a complex country like Nigeria. Yeah. And therefore, age is a factor. In this profile, in this character you're seeing, in this quality you're putting down as needed in the president of 2023, do you see age playing a role?
Age plays a role, but largely at the extremes of it. Okay? A very bright, smart young child of 15 years old may not be trusted with leading Nigeria. Similarly, a man of 100 may not be trusted with leading Nigeria because physical frailties come in. But within a certain bandwidth, it's not so much of age, physical age, but the age of your ideas, the currency and potency of your ideas, and the ability to change with the changing times, even as you cling on to unchanging principles. So to that extent, age doesn't count. I mean, history furnishes us with excellent leaders that were young, very many. The people who call our founding fathers, all of them were young people when they held power. The oldest amongst them, Azikiwe, was 56 as of the time of independence. Awolowo was younger. The Sadano was younger. Emma Ekparo was younger. So all of them were young men. But today we look back at them and regard them as sages. But we have also seen leaders that matured with time and were able to serve a society in their old age. The South Africans, they were quite happy with Mandela. Kenya under Kenyatta, and some of those people. So it's not so much the physical age, but the age of your ideas, the currency of your ideas, your ability to change with the changing times. Those things can count. But I wouldn't write off a man purely because of age, unless it's at the very extremes.
Now, can we bring in, we are painting very beautiful picture of what ought to be. The institutions to help produce this kind of a man, the political parties, what role can they play in making sure that such a man, such a woman emerges? Because today, there's so much intra-party contentions to the point that it becomes a distraction.
Let me say this, that part of the genuine fears that people have for Nigeria is that these institutions we mention, ideally ought to have a philosophical and intellectual foundation. A political party, ideally, is not just an amalgam of people seeking power, but people with a purpose to seek power. That's the difference here. You can have a political party that just wants to get power, and it's a political party because the Constitution allows freedom of association. However, you can have a political party with a purpose for wanting to seek power. I want to limit the word to purpose now because I don't want to get into, is it going to be ideological or what? But we can basically agree that there should be a body of policies and programs that a member of a political party subscribes to. In the current form we are seeing our political parties, they don't seem to sufficiently take themselves seriously. So you see, somebody leaves one political party, goes into another, leaves that one, comes back, goes into another, without any political loss of political capital. So what it means is that the political party has not reinforced in its membership its raison d'etat, its reason for being. Otherwise, you cannot drift from one party to the other and back again and on to the next as if it doesn't count. So now, for today, we see parties as the place that you get a ticket on your journey to power. Not the place that you get a ticket to execute their programs when you are in power. And it will be very advisable for political parties maybe to show that they take themselves seriously by rewarding those that have been loyal to them all through their careers. I'm not saying that there's no conceivable circumstance that a man can leave a party. No. But a party must value those that have been loyal. Loyalty must count. Just like veracity. There are certain virtues and attributes that a people must ask for. And if they don't ask for it, they won't get it. And if they don't get it, you cannot have this elite consensus we are talking about. So political parties have a role. Now, in a situation where they don't place enough emphasis on things like loyalty, then their elite selection process or the leadership selection process can become extremely faulty. So if I take the two parties that have held power in Nigeria here in the last 20 odd years at the center, PDP and APC, you don't get the impression that they sufficiently respect themselves in terms of value for loyalty. They gleefully go and poach principal members of the other party and hold it up as an achievement. Oh, this governor decamped. That other governor decamped. 10 senators decamped to us. And we don't say, come on. You don't feel any embarrassment that somebody took a mandate from the people of this country on a different platform from yours and just cross it over. And tomorrow they say we have given a waiver. It doesn't matter when you came in, you can come and contest. All you want is power. So I think we need a conversation on loyalty to political parties to convince us that the kind of people they are putting forward to us as leaders have been vetted or gone through a proper leadership screening process.
Now, talking about leadership screening process, that takes me to the emergence of all these people showing interest. I wake up one morning and somebody says, I want to become the president of the Federal Republic. And there are posters all over the place. And I ask myself, what manner of experience has this person gathered over time, either in the principles and values of his party or in leadership? It takes some experience to lead. Let me give it to anybody who wants to become president, that yes, you are free to contest. But managing a nation as complex as Nigeria, doesn't it require some measure of exposure to the workings of government, to political relationships, which you said a consensus builder? Doesn't it require experience?
It does. And again, I want to be respectful of people that have sought the presidency. I've not sought it myself, okay? But at the end of the day, there is something about this democracy. At the end of the give and take, people that have sought the presidency of Nigeria through the ballot box and succeeded seem to represent our national consensus at a moment in time. A consensus on where the country should be going. So whether you're looking at Shagari, or whether you're looking at Obasanjo, or even Abiola that was elected and didn't take office, or Jonathan, or now Buhari, and maybe their successor, somehow the process will eventually consider all those things. Their background, their experience, because for every season, there is a preponderant feeling that look at what kind of quality we need. Unfortunately, you cannot trust the integrity of our election outcomes in terms of numbers. But even if you roughly say that anybody that was declared winner won, maybe not by the number that they were declared, then you could say that for each moment in time when those men were elected, you can virtually see what they represented. Okay? I don't want to go into what each person represented because that may be subjective. But you will find that experience is part of it. So if somebody says, I'm going to fight insurgency, I'm going to fight insecurity, I'm going to fight corruption, Nigerians will say, yeah, I think he has what it takes to do it. Okay? And the next person at another moment in time, we are going from military to civilian. There is a sense that this man has been a soldier, he has also been a civilian, he has gone through hardship, he may manage the system better. So you probably find that Nigerians are not totally oblivious of experience. So I'm not too worried about those that you say jump from the skies into the system. They go through a meal, and at the end of the day, if the system is, people will make a fair judgment of them.
With all these interests all over the place, do you see INEC as the umpire? Not just because it has not done it before, but the heated interest, the many contentions. Maybe they say that's how our politics is. Each of politics, things heat up. But do you see INEC being able to effectively manage these interests during the election? Because these interests also amount to pressure on the system.
I think in terms of electoral integrity, it will seem to me, if you take away a few odd spots, that there's been a steady improvement in conduct of elections at the national level and the integrity of the results. Steady improvement. I am not sure everybody will swear by the numbers that come out at the end of the day. But you can see ideas being introduced to give you more credible results. The problem seems to be that for every new idea, we all sign on to it. There are some parts of the country that embrace it wholesale, and then we make exception of others, and they take advantage of that exception and possibly, let me say, turn on results that reflect the old thinking. But having said that, I would believe that there is a consistent effort on the part of INEC to get better. And I think that so far at the gubernatorial level, if you were to do an empirical study of electoral petitions, let me say 12 years ago, 8 years ago, 4 years ago, and now, I think qualitatively, you probably see that in the last couple of years, there have been more dramatic improvement in INEC. The elephant in the box is at the presidential level. Why we choose to do it all in one day, I still don't understand. Vast countries like India do the elections over a period of time. Election managers must know why they want to do it all in one day, whether they have the capacity to truly monitor. But maybe when the new electoral law is signed, you probably see more checks and more balances, all aimed at giving electoral integrity. Now, in terms of the personnel that run INEC, I also believe that, to all intents and purposes, the incumbent head of INEC, to the extent that I know him, is somebody that you can fairly well, you can say that he's made an effort to show that he's transparent and of integrity. If you saw the last election that came out of Anambra, for instance, there was a lot of talk that the results had been written, a lot of movements across the political spectrum. And some people say it was all in. And I believe it's a mark of the character of the head of INEC that the results came out that made the approbation of the citizens. We saw it also in Edo, and so on and so forth. So I would say that the presidential election is still a major issue. INEC really has to show us that, that there is transparency. Sometimes we see films of kids thumbprinting results. Sometimes we hear stories of youth coppers threatening that if they didn't sign off on something that they'll be killed. Some years ago, coppers were killed in large numbers in parts of this country. There are some people that say that they're being penalized by playing by the rules. When the card readers were introduced, some particular regions in this country play by the rules. If the card reader doesn't accept you, no. But in some places, exceptions are made. And now the story out there is that, oh, these people have low numbers. The number of voters is perpetually low. They're not interested in voting. But you don't even know whether the other votes that you accept as votes cast were really votes cast. So I think there's need for work to convince us that the final numbers reflect the will of the people. Maybe the person that should have won, but the numbers we were looking at, I don't know. We need to convince about that.
Okay. Now, Ferdinand, there is a very critical matter in national conversation today, and that is, where should the next president come from? North, south, southeast, southwest, wherever. Is that consideration necessary?
I think it's very necessary. You know, let me put it this way. There are things that because we met as they are, we assume they are already in existence as they should be. We have not asked ourselves, what is our idea of Nigeria? When I talk about the erosion of elite consensus, it's also partly because we do no longer have a unified idea of Nigeria. However, my own view is that if there was no Nigeria, we would have been busy trying to create one, because we need one. Even if for nothing else, this is the highest concentration of black capacity, intellectual, moral, and otherwise. If the black man were ever to be spared from the rainstorms of racism, it has to be the Nigerian success story that lifts us up. We need Nigeria as a race. We need Nigeria as a continent. We need Nigeria as a people. We're a vast commonwealth. But there have to be terms for Nigeria to work. And that's why our founding fathers went through all the constitutional conferences. All the constitutional evolution, Clifford, Richardson, Macpherson, Littleton, Independence, Republic, ad hoc Constitutional Committee, leading to before the war, Constituent Assembly, the Abacha the Abacha Constitutional Conference, the Obasanjo one, the IBB Constituent Assembly, the Jonathan National Conference. It tells you that we are trying to find the correct matrix for our nation. One thing is clear. There is a northern part of Nigeria and a southern part of Nigeria that was amalgamated. That is the irreducible minimum. You can later dice it into southeast, southwest, south-south, middle belt, north-central, northeast, and northwest. But the two constituent parts exist. And it will seem as if, until we find a more equitable way of understanding equity, or parity. The idea of the presidency rotating between the North and the South makes sense. Someday we can outgrow it. I wish we had outgrown it 10 years ago. But until we have more equitable and rational means of allocation of resource and power,
This seems to be serving us.
this has to be, we have to consider it. Why do we have federal character, even in our admission to unity schools? It's a conscious attempt to say that you cannot say merit and merit alone in terms of matters academic. You cannot say majoritarian democracy in terms of politics. If you go by majoritarian democracy, purely by that, you just incite the minority into some kind of insurrection. So I think to rotate power between the North and the South ought to be a given until we find a better way of doing it. Once we do that North-South rotation, the rest of it, should it go to Northwest, Northeast, North Central, should it go to Southeast, Southwest, Southwest, South, whatever, I think the populace has the wisdom to understand and to judge when people make their case, where is the parity of equity, and what serves our nation best at any moment in time. So I probably limit myself to a North-South rotation, as should be accepted as it is now. Then the nuances within the broad regions, let us leave it to the wisdom of the leadership and the people to decide here.
Can you, I'm not asking to play the augurer, because I'm sure you cannot see the seas of time. Check all the signals, with all the indices, with all we have conversed on this afternoon. Can you see us have a smooth, credible, selling election in 2023?
My basic assumption, a smooth election is possible and is desirable. But the assumption is that those in whose hand it is to facilitate it will do the right thing. Neither you nor I, we can only express wishes. I can promise you I'm a citizen of good conduct. I'll be lawful all the way through, and I'm sure you will be. Now, if the people that hold power, in whose hand it is to do these things at the party level and everything, do their bit, citizens will be lawful. If they don't do their bit, then they themselves put the society at risk. But I really want to believe that everybody has a stake in doing what is right, being lawful in their conduct and being accommodating in their behavior.
Being lawful in their conduct, being accommodating in their behavior, that could grant us, if not guarantee us, good elections without rancor, without violence. In the past 35 minutes, 40 minutes, I think so, I've been conversing with Ferdinand Dago. Ferdinand Dago, former Director General of the National Maritime Authority, that's today's NEMASA, and former Senior Special Assistant in the Office of the Secretary to the Federation during the Jonathan administration, and now in private practice, incidental, as I said from the beginning, an architect. I think those who build houses can also build nations. Ferdinand, thank you very much for coming to the conversation.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you. I'm grateful.
My name remains Mwabos and Joke, and the conversation never ends. Next Sunday, we'll be conversing. For today, good afternoon. You are watching the Signature Show on AIT. Please, how many of us remember this incident in boxing history, really?
Now Kid Bassie gets going.
It took place in Paris, France, on June the 24th, 1957. I did not have the luxury of watching the fight on television, but I listened to the entire fight punch for punch and round after round on my eldest brother's Pi radio. And what a night it was. What joy and celebration at Methodist Primary School, Eluama, in today's Abia State, where my eldest brother was a teacher. the Premier of Eastern Nigeria then, Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, and Prime Minister Tafawa Balewa, both of them and many more Nigerians, congratulated Hogan Kidbasi. Above all, the entire nation was one mass of Africa's celebrative citizens. I remember the commentary on Nigerian Broadcasting Service by, I cannot remember who now. This afternoon, it will not be Algerian Cherif Hamia that will confront Hogan Kidbasi. It will be Tunisian national team, the Carthage Eagles, that will take on our own Super Eagles. And the fight of the Eagles cannot but end with the Carthaginians losing their wings, isn't it? Let these Super Eagles fly. Well, many Nigerians across all regions, religions, and class love him. Silky, soulful, folksy songs are the ingredients of his brand. His name, Bongos Ikwe, the man who never stops searching, never stops saying amen. The man who does not forget Otachi Pokpo, and the man who knows that what's gonna be is gonna be. For being who he is and creating happiness across Nigeria and in fact in many countries of the world, and not copying anybody's kind of music, but creating the Bongos brand in the Cubana Boys, Unibello Brothers, and the Groovies, and for allowing the cock to crow at dawn, we say thank you. The Bongos Ikwe, who would clock 80 on June the 6th, 2022.
What's gonna be is gonna be. What goes up must come down. What's gonna be is gonna be. Ain't nothing you can do about it. What's gonna be is gonna be. What goes up must come down. What's gonna be is gonna be. Ain't nothing you can do about it. I used to have a lot of girls, had them in all kinds of shapes and sizes. Oh, but suddenly they turn their backs on me, and I bow my head and I sing to myself. I just say, what's gonna be is gonna be. What goes up must come down. What's gonna be is gonna be. Ain't nothing you can do about it. Said what's gonna be is gonna be. What goes up must come down. What's gonna be is gonna be. Ain't nothing you can do about it.
Well, as I say goodbye, please stay with us for Corruption Tori, which starts immediately after this program. And that's our package for this Sunday. And Wabos and Joko. Heading to the field toward the match, isn't it? Let's meet again next week. Good afternoon.
My people, una welcome to another ogbenge edition of Corruption Tori this Sunday. Una know say last week we show una the big story wey Corruption Tori bring una for 2021. We also come here and una say people wey suppose shake body for some of the bad corruption matter wey we bring una for 2021 just sit down dey look. They no do anything about the matter like say e no concern them. For the Corruption Tori on how NECO people they take their own hands spoil their own examination through corruption. One Michael Otobo and Bernard Ode write us say the matter of magu for examination in school don chop the head of NECO, schools, teachers and even parents join. They say only God go help Nigeria, but then they say God dey help person wey dey help himself, and so we no go comot body to try stop anything wey concern corruption, whether for education matter or any other place for Nigeria. Na him make this Sunday we go tell you the story of students of government junior secondary school wey dey for Mpape, Abuja, wey don join body to find corruption kpata for our country. My name na Marvelous Oboman. Make you wait, I dey come back sharp.
This na Corruption Tori.
You never hear something if you never hear the story of government junior secondary school wey dey for Mpape. You remember say last year when Corruption Tori do try your own make I try my own wey oyibo dey call competition on how corruption dey take affect Nigerian family. Government junior secondary school Mpape carry third prize. Even Kukuma carry consolation prize join. Abeg clap for them. To begin Corruption Tori work for 2022, Oga of Corruption Tori, Vim Martin Obiora Ilo and him other staff na dem visit government junior secondary school Mpape to begin the first secondary school anti-corruption club. But first, Oga of Corruption Tori and him people go see the principal of the college.
Today we are here to interact more with the students and give them a token gift, some exercise books, about 300 or so exercise books, and then talk to them just a little bit about what they expected to do in terms of joining the anti-corruption fight even as little children.
After the plenty talk with the principal, the Corruption Tori visitors waka go meet the students to thank them say they do well for the essay competition. Kukuma give them some gifts and on top talk to them on why they must join hands for this matter of fighting corruption.
We are Signature Television. We are producers of Corruption Tori, a TV program that focuses on anti-corruption. It is broadcast in Igbo language, Hausa, Yoruba and Pidgin English. And this program is sponsored and supported by the MacArthur Foundation. What did I say? MacArthur Foundation. MacArthur Foundation. Can we put our hands together for them? When your principal said that he gave you radio sets, gave you a cash award, gave you an iPad, it was made possible by MacArthur Foundation. It is their support that has made it possible for you to have these fans. Can you wave it again, the fans? The fans that you are taking home and telling everybody in your neighborhood why they need to follow you do what? Fight corruption. We took third position. Among how many schools? Over 80 entries. 80 schools sent their entry and we took third position. Which comprise of both senior and junior secondary schools. Did you see your position? What did I say was your position?
organizing committee of the signature TV, we are highly impressed. You came back home with 3 winning items. You remember you won a cash prize of 20,000, an iPad, and a radio set. They are still with us. That is not all. Their performances is still in their memory. I'm highly impressed. It is in view of this that they are here with us today to show us more appreciation. And I'm very sure, not only by mouth, they have a lot of things to present to you this morning.
The chairman of the School Parents Teachers Association, Kukuma put mouth join. In the tell the children say corruption for education na passport to katakata tomorrow. No student suppose put in hand inside this magu-magu.
There's no need for you to do any exam cheating as from today, because you are now an ambassador. When you go to your houses, when you go your mommy, your auntie, you have to educate them on the corruption issue. Corruption must be totally out of this our society, so that we have a better future and a good society in the future.
My people, this one na original better surprise. Say our children don't begin to take this corruption matter as something where they very important. The students swear say they no go put hand for this nonsense corruption. Sam. So
what can a child do and that will be corruption?
Examination malpractice. Stealing your parents' money.
Hey! Are we going to say no to corruption? Yeah! Are we going to say no to corruption?
Yeah! To show say they don't serious for the matter to stop corruption, the students don't sit down, arrange better anti-corruption anthem for their school. Now that one be say corruption tori don catch them young go.
I have decided to show corruption. I have decided to show corruption. I have decided to show corruption. No turning back, no turning back. Are you a student? Avoid corruption. A civil servant? Avoid corruption. A politician? Avoid corruption. Advocacy is watching you. Signature TV is watching you.
Corruption is watching you. Corruption is watching you. Corruption is watching you.
To thank the school principal and school students say them don't open eye for this anti-corruption matter, Corruption Tori inaugurate the first secondary school anti-corruption club in Nigeria at the Mpape Junior Secondary School. Oga of Corruption Tori, V. Martin Obiora Ilo, apart from say in donate anti-corruption item where he share give the students, in Kukuma add chicken money to enable the club to take off. Chai, corruption for Nigeria, you go hear Ramo.
We are here to thank your principal, your teachers, and you, our dear students, for participating in that and making us proud. Then we are here to share some of these things that we have. Thirdly, we are here to inaugurate the first in Abuja, the very first one in Abuja, of what we call Corruption Tori Anti-Corruption Club. That's the first one here. Which means that from time to time, whenever we are having any event, your school must be represented. Whether it's in Abuja, whether it's in Lagos, whether it's anywhere, even if it's one or two students and the teacher, will always carry you along. The people will come and tell you what has happened. And from time to time, we are going to come and have, maybe on a monthly basis, work it out with the principal and the teachers to come and talk about anti-corruption. because we want you to be anti-corruption ambassadors.
Is a corruption theory.
My people, if you no happy for Nigeria, say the young ones don dey learn, they understand, and now don carry the matter of fighting corruption on top their head. I know kukuma know wetin go make you happy for this life. For me, hey, my belle dey sweet me sake of say we don win this war against corruption. Abeg, one poser for Mpape Junior Secondary School students for becoming anti-corruption ambassadors. Me, I go add for una corruption soldiers join. Let the fight go on. Make me I go tight my trouser, sharpen my razor blade, dey wait for this corruption. Make it near my domot, I go kill am. Now here we go end corruption tori for this Sunday. Abeg, make we jam again next week. My name still na Marvelous Oboman. Una bye bye yo.